Welcome to the Music Ed Matters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Emily Williams-Birch, and this podcast, it exists for you. Whether you're a music lover, an educator, a choir member, each week we bring guests to the show to help explore what matters in music. I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome to the show. Hello, and welcome to the Music Ed Matters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Emmy Birch, and today we are talking to music educator, renowned businesswoman, creator of resources, genius, and my new friend, Elisa Janson Jones. In this episode, Elisa takes you through the story of how all of this wonderful things, these amazing resources were created and thought of through her journey of being a music educator. And we spend some serious time digging into the how, what, and when of AI, including a really fantastic framework. Whatever you're doing, however you're listening to this, make sure you check out all the links that are in these episode notes because they are going to be killer resources for you. Whether you're looking for community, looking for mentorship, looking for projects for your high schoolers at the end of the year, whatever it is, you need to investigate the resources in these links because what Elisa has created is absolutely a gem for our profession. Whether you are in your early, mid, or developmental part of your career, wherever you are in your career, there are some fabulous resources for you. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Perform International. I'm totally going to go create an AI prompt sequence to ask about what travel does for you. That sounds like fun. But you know what? This episode will teach you how to better use AI. So I'm done talking. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Elisa Janson Jones. Today on the Music Ed Matters podcast, we are talking to one of my new friends, Elisa Janson Jones. What's up, my friend?
Hey, Emmy, how are you today?
I'm really excited to talk to you. Before we pushed record, you said something that really resonated. We are on this planet for the same mission to make resources for music educators and lovers of music so that life can be a little easier.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited to have this conversation. Can you tell us, I know that you are not on the East Coast, you are out in Colorado. How did you end up there? Give us a little bit of your story. Who are you and why music education?
Oh my goodness. I've been a music educator my whole life. My dad was a music educator for his entire career. So I was kind of born into it. Like I started going with him to adjudication festivals when I was very young. So I would sit next to him and like hear as he was like assessing everybody and providing recommendations. So I literally have like been in the world of music education from, being a preteen. And then, I've had an interesting career like we all do, a little bit of teaching public school, some private school teaching, running my own private lesson studio, having 3 kids. I'm ridiculously proud of my daughter who I'm going to get like weepy in the first 30 seconds here.
Let's go.
But she just graduated from the University of North Texas and just got her first teaching job as an assistant director. And so she's like 3rd generation music teacher. So that is how ingrained music ed is in my family. But for me, the turning point in my career where I kind of diverged from a lot of other people on this path is when I got my master's degree. I didn't want to do education like my mother was a master educator, and I didn't want to do a music master's like my dad because I thought it was just too theory heavy, and I wanted something that was going to be highly practical, which, as you know, with all my content, I really focus on what's highly practical for music educators. So I went back to school for a master's of business administration degree because I knew that the stuff that I didn't know as a music educator was the business side of things.
We talk about that all the time. Like there's just so lacking in business classes. I mean, even where I am now, students have to choose to minor in business to get the classes they need. That's so important. Yeah. What a cool thing to think about.
Yeah. So for me, it was almost a no-brainer when I lit upon it as a topic. So then I got into the world of business and business strategy. So I used that information to build a professional development business where I was doing speaking and focusing a lot on the off the podium skills. So those professional skills, personal skills, the business financial strategy, all of that. So I started doing all of that back almost a decade ago. So I started the Music Ed Mentor podcast, which we still have episodes up on YouTube if anybody wants to access them.
And the link is in the episode notes.
Awesome. Thank you. And then I wrote a couple of books and I did speaking engagements all over. And then I started running an online music education conference because I wanted to make sure that professional learning was highly accessible. I live in a very rural part of Colorado, and our state music teacher conference always happens over in Denver, which is like a 5-hour drive for me. And they always host it in January, which January driving across the Rocky Mountains is a very unpleasant experience.
Sounds so scary.
Yeah. So I was like, why don't I create an online music teacher conference? And so that put me on the path of how do we make music teacher professional learning just more accessible. So creating online courses. During the pandemic, I hosted something like 26 online conferences using this format that I had created for the International Music Education Summit. And then I did a stint working for the Conn-Selmer Corporation. So I got some great corporate experience and got to use their resources to create accessible music teacher education and support, which was awesome. And then, about a year ago, I launched the Music Teacher Guild, which is an entirely online, technology-enabled professional learning, accessible program. We have online courses and access to mentorship and just a bunch of great resources and community for music educators around the world.
What an exciting journey. Like, you're right. We all kind of start in the same, we have an interest in this whole music education world, but the way in which it splinters and we all go different directions, it's always my favorite question to see how you got where you are today. I want to unpack more about the Music Teachers Guild in just a second, but I think it's so important to acknowledge who needs this type of training, because it's the teachers in the trenches that are by themselves, but it's also those people that might not have known that education was the pathway for them, and they're coming to it later. So how can people find your resources, and what are some of the examples of things they can learn in your classes and courses and things?
Sure. So obviously musicteacherguild.org is the website. Our primary focus has been on how do we connect people who don't have access to mentorship to really wonderful mentors. So we're transitioning to like a new sort of digital platform. So be patient. We're getting more and more of our mentors accessible online right now. And the idea is that you can get on the website, filter or search for somebody who is an expert in the content area where maybe you need the most help. So let's say that I was a choral educator, and you understand that. But I got a teaching job in a rural town where I also have to do the instrumental music. And maybe I just don't know as much about what ensemble music is best for young bands, right? Or maybe I just need some help on clarinet specific educational techniques because my clarinets are consistently playing flat and I just don't know what to do about it, right? Mm-hmm. So you can get onto the Music Teacher Guild and find a mentor who is an expert in that thing. And you can have a call with them monthly. You can access all of their resources, and they can be there as your go-to person to help you through that really targeted challenge.
What a fun way to set this up. So this whole mentor-mentee thing, where did you get this idea from? When did that start?
Oh my goodness. I was looking at what haven't we tried yet as music educators, because we have the current professional development model where we go to a conference, we attend a bunch of sessions. So I'm always looking for how do we do things differently, like what professional learning actually works for people. And sometimes sitting in a 45-minute session in a conference, you might get some great ideas, but you probably aren't going to implement them. So through my doctoral study, I've done a lot of research on instructional strategies and instructional design and how do you, because my doctorate's going to be in instructional design, of course. So what are the best learning models to see measurable change, not just in the professional, but in how they teach their own students, right? Because that's the real outcome is we want you to be a successful music teacher so that your students can also be successful and you can create thriving music programs. So as far as mentorship goes, I was looking at how do we make it accessible? How do we answer some of the most common complaints for music educators? And one of those is isolation, right? So how can we create something where people can get really targeted, specific, and one-on-one assistance. And I think that that is what sets it apart, is that we aren't saying, here's an online course that's going to be the solution for everybody. We're saying, here is a specific one-on-one model that's going to help you.
I think that's so important, especially in today's like super connected world. I know you actually said some things about AI when we were prepping all the stuff for this, so we'll have to go there eventually. But I think there's so much out there where you think it's a blanket approach, but it's so unique to your situation. Like you're in rural Colorado and I'm in small town Georgia. That's one of the bigger cities in our state. And the needs are going to be so different. I love that this mentorship thing happens. Was your dad your mentor, or did you have a different educator as a mentor?
That is a really great question. I had a lot of really wonderful mentors, and a lot of that's just my own personality, being willing to acknowledge where I had struggles and where could I go for help, and be really humble about the fact that I needed to learn. So one example is when I got a teaching job teaching elementary school, and I had never taught elementary. Right? My specialty had been secondary instrumental. I had been an instrumental educator, even though I had, of course, grown up singing and in choirs and everything like that. So getting an elementary teaching job, though, I didn't even know where to start. And it was at a private school. So I went into the principal one day and I said, what is it you actually want me to teach? Because there's all of these great structures. There's all of this great curriculum out there. What is it that you want to have happen here? And he said, I just want the students to love music. So I was like, okay, well, we can do that, but I need some structure. So I ended up reaching out to my own kid's elementary music teacher. And he sat down with me and was my mentor through that whole first year of teaching elementary music. And then when it comes to my dad, of course, he was a wonderful mentor for me. He was a master instrumental music educator. He was a president of the Utah Music Educators and anyway, he was amazing. And he did mentor me a lot as I struggled with very specific teaching techniques in the instrumental realm. The tables turned when he retired from teaching university and took a job in a very rural town in Utah where he just wanted to live there, right? And he ended up teaching 6th grade through 12th grade because he was the only music teacher in the town, right? And one day he called me.
That's so cool.
Needing advice on he's like, I don't even know how to deal with these 6th graders. Like, what am I supposed to do here? Because he'd been used to dealing with adults, and all of a sudden he was thrown into dealing with children. And to me, that speaks to we're all at different stages of the journey at different times. We all have different needs. And so I didn't want to just set it up where it's this structured, early career music educator, although that is incredibly vital, right? You may need mentorship at any stage in your career.
I think you need to say that again for some people in the back. Like, it's okay to need mentorship at any level of your career.
Yeah. You just need to have this awareness of what is my need and how can I help it be filled.
Now, that awareness key is so important. Like, you don't even know what you don't know, which I think is part of the problem in those early years of teaching. You don't even know what you don't know. But then as you start going, it's kind of, I say my doctorate was like that. I feel like I entered my doctorate with an idea and I left like Swiss cheese. Like, there were even more holes to fill. And it's been so much fun post-doc reading and writing and exploring and kind of filling the Swiss cheese holes, but also being okay with more holes popping up, because it's just opening your eyes, the awareness to what is still left out there to learn, because we never have to stop.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually a theme that was revealed through my own doctoral study, was this need for music educators to have more self-awareness, to have the sort of personal skills to be able to say, I don't know this thing. I need to get help in this specific area. It's not something that we talk about or focus on, but it's absolutely vital.
It's tough too, because as a music director, as a music teacher, you have to have a little bit of self-confidence. There has to be a little bit of ego involved to be able to lead in the way that our ensembles need, or in a way that a classroom needs. I mean, elementary school, that's like a song and dance with a bunch of pedagogy clicked in. I loved it. Teaching elementary school was like showing up for a show every day and having 8 million. Oh my, it was so much fun. I mean, I was exhausted, but it was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely.
I think that that piece of the puzzle, the awareness, can be so hard when you're also trying to be the expert and the a little bit of ego in there.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't think we should confuse ego with confidence,
Oh yeah,
right?
good point. Yeah.
And pivoting into, now that I'm so focused on the world of AI too, a lot of us are having to question our own confidence when it comes to things like that.
Yeah, let's totally do that shift. Let's talk about AI because one of the fun things when we were planning this out and I was reading all the stuff that was sent, I was so excited to hear this because it's a hot take. I have an AI project in every single class that I teach because I believe as a college professor, I don't know what these students are going to need in 20 or 30 years when I'm wrapping up my career and they're just really getting going. So getting them critical thinking skills and the ability to adapt to whatever is around is crucial. But there's still so much controversy about using AI. What are your thoughts and where are you in this whole world of AI and how can it help us as music educators?
Oh my goodness, where am I? So I have delved really deep over the last year, and I've actually become a certified, um, a what is the right term? Certified AI consultant. And my focus, of course, is on training, right? How do we train people to use AI better? And I've come up with some frameworks for how to use AI, and then also to how to, instead of doing like a single prompt, I have a framework for a prompt sequence and stuff like that. And I'm just getting started creating content that's hopefully going to help a bunch of people. And one of the first things that I just published is called a script guide, an AI script guide. So if you aren't very comfortable in talking about AI, the script guide is designed to help you show that you have more competence in it than you think, right? Because a lot of people, especially I call them the tech bros, but they the ego lets them speak in terms of jargon and a lot of acronyms and I know this system and this system and this system, and that can feel really overwhelming as somebody who's a novice. And understanding, first of all, we are all novices when it comes to this new paradigm that we're working in. So anyway, let's get back to the brass tacks. So I've been in it for a while now, and my goal is to just help demystify and simplify it and make it practical, just like with all the stuff I do for music educators, right? When it comes to how to use AI, do you want to know my framework? Because
Oh
it's
yeah,
really
absolutely.
helpful.
Absolutely. I know all I ever say to my students, like we do lots of digging into it, like we kind of dabble and then we go deep into it. Like it's a process, a sequence, obviously. But there's always a couple in the class that are so anti AI. Like the students are anti AI. And my argument is always, you're still the expert. You have to know how to ask and what to ask. And that's the winning piece. AI can never replace that human feeling and collaboration and interaction if
Yeah,
you know how to ask the right questions. But yeah, your framework, absolutely.
I call it human taste and judgment, right? A lot of people in the AI world are going to call it human in the loop. You need to have a human in the loop. You don't want to just have AI do it all for you because it can kind of go off the rails. You're going to end up with hallucinations. It's going to be problematic, right? But it's human taste and judgment that is the really important piece. And I get asked all the time about AI ethics. And I think there's different layers when it comes to it, right? It's just like with plagiarism. I wouldn't copy somebody else's work and present it as my own, right? But if I prompt engineer something to generate me an initial output based on my own thought processes, my own taste and judgment as a human, right? Then I can take that and refine it using my own voice, and it's going to just help me get to my output a little bit faster. So I think that that's one core element when it comes to AI ethics, is where does the human element come in to make it specifically yours, that you would want to put your name on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think another important thing is to understand where the data is coming from. So, for example, I get asked all the time, how do I learn things faster? I'm actually writing a book on it, on how to use AI to learn better and faster, starting with your own learning strategies and what works best for you, because AI can customize the learning experience based on the information that you want to learn. And I think that using it as a learning and teaching tool is going to be incredibly valuable, and using it as a private tutor for yourself. Ethically, though, I don't want it to summarize books for me that I haven't purchased. So let's say that I want to learn all about Atomic Habits, right? It's a really hot book right now.
Great book, yes.
Yeah, great book. I'm going to buy that book. And whether I read it or not, I may go on to ChatGPT or something and say, give me a summary of Atomic Habits. And I'm not going to feel bad about that because I invested in the book. And I'm not going to feel bad about that because I can have a deeper conversation about it and feel like I'm being ethically sound, right? As a published author, I would prefer that somebody buys my book and then has a conversation about it with AI. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. Setting those ethic boundaries is so important.
Exactly. And if I'm going to be using it to analyze a bunch of, studies on early career music educators, right? I'm going to take those studies, input them, ask it to help me analyze it, have that conversation as the tool that it is. But I'm still going to cite those authors, right? And I think that is an important ethical consideration. So I can appreciate the hesitation that some people have when it comes to, well, I don't want to use it because it's unethical, or I don't want to use it because it feels wrong. If it feels wrong, don't do it, right? But if there are ways that it can help you and enhance your life and help you to learn things better without doing the work for you, then it becomes a really extremely useful tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my framework is a 4-part framework that's designed to sort of help you be as ethical and effective as possible. And the first step is clarity. I should say it's the Calm AI Navigator framework. So CALM.
And this is linked in the episode notes too.
Yay! So the clarity comes with, what is the actual output that I want? Do I want it to write this thing for me? Do I want it to create this thing for me? And if I do, what are the elements that I want to have that are very specific to it? So it's getting very clear on what you're using the tool for and what you want that output to be, right? And what kind of information you need it to have to get that kind of output that you want. So clarity is the first one. Alignment is the second one. And that's just that there are so many tools out there. I mean, I can count 5 LLMs that I use every day, right? But each one has its own specific use. So Claude, for example, it's a great writing partner for me. It's a great thinking partner for me. It is the most ethically trained one. And if you try and get it to do something that it doesn't think is ethical, it's going to tell you. Okay.
That's awesome.
But it's not connected to the internet yet. That is, I think, an update that's coming really soon. So I can't just put a website into it and say, tell me everything that's on this website, right? But ChatGPT can do that, right? So you can have it analyze, like I had it analyze your podcast so that I would be able to, I wanted to make sure that I was prepared, that I knew everything I needed to about you and the great work that you're doing. And so I had it give me a breakdown. I told it exactly what I needed from it because of that clarity piece. And then ChatGPT was my tool that was best aligned for that type of output. But if I'm looking for citations for a study that I want to use in an email to make a better case for the thing I'm emailing about, I'm going to use Perplexity because it's going to give me better access to those sorts of citations. So that's the alignment piece. And then leveraging is just leveraging your own skills as a human with taste and judgment to be able to prompt it to get the kind of output that you want. And I think if there's one skill that we should all be working on every day, it's prompting. Because that's going to be how we interact with AI and how we use these tools for the next 10, 20 years, right?
Those prompts are so hard. But it's great to see as you start to get better and learn the little ins and outs and tricks of them. But what a great way. But you can't go straight to the prompt. Like you're saying, you have to have clarity of what you want and aligned the right tool.
Right. Because that's just going to help optimize your output. And there are some great prompt templates out there. There's some great prompt frameworks. I think that a prompt sequence is going to be more important, which is why I've created one. All a prompt sequence is you start with an initial prompt using whatever framework that you want, based on that clarity, based on that alignment that you want, based on the output. And then you use a series of prompts to get the best output. So that's going to be very cool. And then the last one is manifest. So how do we bring all of that knowledge into the real world in a way that is ethical, that is helpful, that is contributing to the conversation? And that is something that we're proud to put our own name on as somebody who worked with AI as the tool to have that human output.
This is such a great framework, and to use that as a conversation starter, especially as we're getting used to using AI more regularly. I know as someone with future career people, the middle schoolers of adulthood, or what I call the college students, love them so much. But so often they have tainted images of what AI is. They're either all in, AI is writing my paper for me, or they're, I don't need AI. I can do this by myself. I'm creative enough, or I'm smart enough. They don't want to, I don't know what the word is there, but they don't want to succumb to using that resource because they feel like it makes them less than.
Yeah, and that's totally understandable. And if you do use it to generate all of your outputs and you don't take the time to use your human taste and judgment, then you are getting dumber, right?
Yes.
Like you aren't using it, because it can be a tool to help you be so much smarter. It can be something that explains it in a different way that's going to make better sense to you. It can do all of these great things. But if you, again, the human with taste and judgment, just have it fill in for you, then it's replacing you. And why would you do that to yourself? And I think that there is this opportunity, this beautiful opportunity. And I think of, this is going to sound so weird, I think of Venice, right?
Okay,
like way back in the day when they became really prosperous, it created this ability for the people who didn't have to work, they could invest in art. Right. That's why we see, or Florence, Venice, all of these great trading towns in the Mediterranean, as they became more prosperous and more efficient in that prosperity, they were able to invest in the human-centric, human-only things like art, like music, like the creative pursuits that only we can do. So I'm hoping that the future ends up being more that way, that we hand off a lot of the manual labor, right? That we helps us be more efficient so that we can have more humanistic pursuits. And the more that what am I trying to say here? The more we use AI, the higher value human intelligence is going to become.
Oh, I love that statement. But you're also unpacking it with a framework and tools and resources. And I'm sure this thing you're writing right now, the framework for how you write the prompts and the prompt sequencing, people can find that at Music Teacher Guild. Where are you going to put that? Where can they find your resources?
Oh, that is a great question. So I have some on my portfolio page. It's elisajones.ai.
That is also linked in the notes.
If you do elisajanson.com, that's going to get you there too. So anytime that you look up my name, I have really great SEO. You're going to find it. Yes. And then I'm just launching I call it my B2C brand. So it's talking to customers specifically. And that's Jones & Co. So Jones & Company. And that's going to be the one that we're offering the most AI specific training about. And again, focusing on not only this framework that I think is going to be extremely useful for people to not only use AI ethically, but to get the best outputs that they can using their human taste and judgment. But it's also going to be prompt training largely.
That's so awesome. I can't wait to see this all come out and unfold. I know this is something that we'll be able to work on within the next, like you said, 5, 10, 15, 20 years until the next thing happens and the next thing develops out of it. But that human element, clearing up space so we can be more creative.
Absolutely. Especially as musicians and music educators, right?
Yes.
But there are actually some great AI tools on Music Teacher Guild. There are a few custom GPTs that I've written. One of them is actually a mentor. So we call it the Music Ed Mentor, which I can use because that was my brand as well.
Cool.
And so if you're not comfortable yet reaching out to a human and saying like, hey, my clarinet's again consistently, playing flat, or I have this one tenor singer who cannot quite match pitch because his voice is changing. Like if you want specific guidance on that, I've used the inputs from my podcast and from a lot of my own writing and a lot of the like conference presentations and stuff that I've done. And all of that is input into the Music Ed Mentor Chat GPT or Custom GPT. And it's designed to use really great mentorship and coaching principles and practices to help you. It's not just going to be like Google and you can ask it a question, it's going to give you this response. It's actually going to use an inquiry-based approach to coach you to your own answer.
Oh, I love that. When I first started teaching, I had so many fabulous mentors, but one of my faves was my next door neighbor at school, the band teacher. And the band teacher would never, ever just tell me what to do. Every day was questions. And we'd be standing outside between classes doing our hallway duty, and it would be some type of question. And there was no answer. I had to think on it. And the number of times that it would be weeks, months, or years later that light bulb would go off. Like, oh, that's what that was about. I love that inquiry-based model. Such a good idea.
Thank you. It's been really fun with the the Music Teacher Guild, is that I've created the mentor training using a lot of my own, mentorship stuff and being trained as a mentor and coach myself and having been a mentor for like the NAM young professionals and stuff like that. So that's one of the ways, going back to our mentorship model, that we're set apart too from anywhere else that you could get mentorship, is that we really train the mentors to have a strong mentorship approach. They're not just going to give you the answer. They're going to help guide you to the right answer. And in fact, just a shout out, if you are an experienced music educator and you want to learn to be a better mentor and you want to become a Music Teacher Guild mentor, we're always accepting new applicants to be added to our mentorship pool. And it's not easy. You do have to go through mentor training because we hold our mentors to an extremely high standard, but it's an extremely valuable skill, not only for the collaborative partners that you help in music education, but anyone in your life that needs help from you, you'll be equipped to help them better.
This is so cool. I'm just so impressed with the vast depth of resources that you've created, all because you're like, I think I'm going to get my master's in business. And now like it's such a cool, like your dad planted the music ed seed. Now you have this music ed tree in your family, and to see what you're doing to make the world a better place. This is so cool. Thank you for sharing all of this.
Thank you. I mean, I knew that you would completely understand having such an aligned mission.
I love it. Well, I can't wait to see. I'm going to go prompt sequence ChatGPT after this and see what all I can learn, because I'm so very excited about that. Before we wrap up, though, what's the one thing that really matters? The one thing you want the listener to walk away from this episode with?
Oh, gosh, the one thing that really matters.
I know that's like the hardest question ever.
I think it's you. I think there's this big paradigm shift right now between giving everything of ourselves and giving to ourselves everything. And I think that the more you can take care of yourself and nurture yourself and focus on yourself over other people. I know that sounds so counterintuitive to so many of us, right? We're taught servant leadership, which I 100% support, but it's impossible to support others if you're not properly supporting yourself. So put yourself first for a little while and focus on the areas in your life that you can improve, because it will help you improve the lives of everybody around you. And letting your light shine just gives everybody else permission to let their own light shine. So whether it is an improvement in your classroom management skills, go find a resource, get the help that you need for it. If it's just you need to find better sustainability in your career by setting boundaries and you just don't know how to do that, like get a mentor, get some help with that, right? Don't hesitate. Don't Don't stop, because you are highly valuable and you are absolutely worth it. And if you are unsure about AI because it's this whole new thing and you're unsure about if it's ethical and if you're unsure about how you can use it better or if it's even going to be helpful for you based on the use cases that you would have, go and learn it. Like, embrace the fact that you don't know, because it's that curiosity that triggers that desire for lifelong learning and continuous improvement, which I think is what life is all about.
Wow. This has been so great. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your resources. I have everything linked in the notes, and I can't wait to touch base at some point in the future when all of your AI stuff is out.
Oh, love it. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for all the amazing work that you do for music educators.
All right, what did you think? I love how we talked so much about the off-podium skills and really dug into how to utilize AI. I hope you'll go investigate all the resources that Elisa has made, and I just wanted to say thank you for listening, because this is a resource, and it's so fun to think that we're not doing this alone. We're not isolated, and there is no one way to do anything. You're the only you there is. So in case no one has told you today, you matter. We all know that music ed matters, especially all the resources and mentorships and programs and AI things that can make us even more brilliant human educators. And I'll see you next time on the Music Ed Matters podcast.